The alarm on my phone buzzed sharply, dragging me out of a half-dream where I was someone else entirely. Groaning, I rolled over, squinting at the sunlight spilling through the blinds. Emma's apartment was quiet, but not in that peaceful, comforting way. It had that electric, expectant hush that always made my heart race. Today was going to be different. I could feel it. I'm Alex. To most people, I'm just your average 24-year-old working in digital marketing, grinding through endless spreadsheets and social media campaigns. But there's a part of me no one knows, except Emma. A part of me that shivers at the thought of eyeliner strokes and the subtle arch of a perfectly sculpted brow. A part of me that comes alive when I'm not just Alex, but Alexa, the girl I sometimes let out when the world isn't looking. Crossdressing has always been a secret thrill, a stolen pleasure. It's not about pretending to be someone else entirely. It's about freedom, self-expression, and, admittedly, a dangerous little flirtation with being caught. I wasn't doing it for anyone else, or so I thought. Emma and I met 2 years ago at a cafe. She's sharp, magnetic, with a way of looking at people that makes them feel both exposed and seen. The first time I admitted my secret to her, I was trembling like a fool. I expected judgment, maybe even disgust. Instead, she smiled, traced a finger over my wrist, and whispered, "Show me." That single word changed everything. With Emma, I could explore every edge of myself without fear. She loved the curiosity, the transformation, the thrill of makeup-stained fingers and high heels clicking against the floor. Our apartment reflected that duality of our lives. Emma's side was neat, organized, full of plants and pastel tones. My corner, tucked behind a folding screen, was a mini sanctuary, rows of makeup neatly lined up, a wig stand, high heels in every imaginable color, skirts hanging like silent sentinels. I never thought anyone would stumble across it, but the excitement was always there, the delicious tension of potentially being caught. That morning, I glanced at my reflection, unshaven, hair messy. Something about seeing my own tired eyes staring back at me sparked the impulse. I reached for my mascara, the sleek black tube feeling impossibly heavy in my hand. Today, I told myself, I'd indulge fully. No shortcuts. No hiding. Not yet. Slipping into the bathroom, I worked slowly, deliberately. I coated my lashes, brushing them carefully, watching my eyes widen and darken. The world shifted with every stroke. My shoulders felt lighter. My posture changed. My reflection began to feel like me or her. My heartbeat quickened as I added a touch of lip gloss, just enough to glint in the sunlight. Each movement was intimate, private, and thrilling. I paused, listening. The apartment was still quiet. Too quiet. That's when I remembered. Emma had mentioned a last-minute meeting and wouldn't be back until late. Alone. Alone with my reflection, with my collection of clothes and makeup, with the freedom to indulge without consequence. And yet, the thrill wasn't in being alone. The thrill was in the risk. The slight possibility that someone, anyone, might catch me in this moment. That nervous little jolt in the pit of my stomach made my hands shake slightly as I chose my outfit, a short, black skirt that flared delicately, paired with a soft, silk blouse. The skirt swayed with my every movement, the fabric brushing against my thighs, sending shivers up my spine. I checked the mirror one last time. The mascara had transformed more than just my eyes. It had transformed my nerves into anticipation, my routine into a secret ritual. I thought about the last time Emma had playfully caught me mid-application, her eyes wide, laughter dancing on her lips, and how she leaned in, whispered, "You're perfect like this." That memory alone made my pulse race. But today, it was just me. Alone. And something in me needed to push further. I grabbed a pair of heels, their black straps sleek against my skin. Standing, I wobbled slightly, the unfamiliar height making my knees tremble. But the reflection in the mirror was mesmerizing. I looked confident, almost untouchable. The mascara had done its magic, yes, but it was more than that. It was the embodiment of a self I rarely let the world see. I sank onto the edge of the sofa, curling my legs beneath me, and ran my fingers through my hair, still slightly mussed. My thoughts wandered to Emma again. Would she ever really understand the rush I felt? The delicate balance of fear and excitement, shame and pride? I had a life outside this, responsibilities and friendships that didn't include mascara-stained fingers or silk skirts. And yet, here I was, ready to throw caution to the wind. I didn't hear the first knock. Not at the door. Not even the faint shuffle of footsteps in the hallway. I was too engrossed in the sensation of transformation, the thrill of anyone, walking in at the wrong moment. And then it came again, a soft but insistent rap at the door. My heart jumped. Who could it be? Emma wasn't supposed to be back. I crept toward the door, my skirt swishing softly, mascara freshly applied, heels clicking faintly against the hardwood. Peeking through the peephole, I froze. It wasn't Emma. It was my neighbor, Lila. She looked puzzled, holding a package. But her eyes lingered too long, and in that instant, I realized something. I wasn't just Alex anymore. I was her, and someone could see me like this at any second. My stomach twisted. Panic and exhilaration collided in a messy storm. Every instinct screamed for me to hide, to change, to shove the heels under the bed and wipe the mascara off. But another part of me, the part that lived for risk, for transformation, whispered, no. Let them see. Let them wonder. That's when it hit me. Being caught wasn't just a possibility. It was inevitable. And in that moment, I understood that my secret life, my pleasure, my identity, was no longer mine alone to control. Someone else, everyone maybe, was about to demand a piece of it too. I drew a shaky breath, trying to steady my racing heart. Lila knocked again. Alex? You in there? Her voice was casual, but I could hear the curiosity threading through every word. I realized, with both fear and thrill, that everything was about to change. And just like that, my ordinary day had vanished, replaced with a tension I couldn't escape. Mascara-stained lashes, silk skirts, high heels. All of it had led me here. I was exposed, vulnerable, and utterly irresistible. This sets up Alex's secret crossdressing life. His relationship with Emma and its importance. The tension of being caught. A suspenseful situation to build on. If you're ready, I can move. The knock at the door echoed through the apartment again, louder this time, and I froze mid-step. My fingers clutched the strap of my black heels, unsure if I should answer or run. I glanced at the mirror across the room. Mascara-darkened lashes, soft blush, and glossed lips stared back at me. Alexa, not Alex. The reflection was intoxicating and terrifying. I debated for a heartbeat. Lila was just a neighbor, nothing more. She had no reason to see this side of me, yet every part of me, from the trembling in my thighs to the rapid beating of my heart, thrilled at the possibility. Curiosity twisted with dread. I was a mix of excitement and shame, a cocktail I had only ever sipped in private. The thought of Emma made me shiver. She'd always encouraged me, yes, but what if someone else saw? Would I lose control of my secret, of my identity? I tiptoed to the door, heels clicking faintly. I'll get it, I said, voice slightly higher than normal. Too high. I cursed under my breath, realizing the first crack in my disguise might be my own voice. Through the peephole, Lila held the package awkwardly, her brow furrowed. Alex? Sorry to bother you, but this came for you, and I didn't know where else to leave it. She hesitated, her eyes flicking down as if she noticed something about me, but quickly looking away. My pulse spiked. I opened the door slowly, keeping my posture casual, though every nerve screamed alert. Thanks, Lila. I appreciate it. Her eyes darted again, and I saw it, a spark of curiosity, maybe even suspicion. My hand brushed the doorframe, mascara faintly smudging at the edges from my nervous grip. Everything okay? I asked, trying to sound normal, though the pitch of my voice betrayed me. Lila gave a small smile, tilting her head. Yeah, I guess. You look different. I froze. Different? The word hung in the air, a double-edged sword. Was it admiration, curiosity, or just innocent observation. My stomach twisted as I realized the consequences. The thrill of crossdressing was no longer mine alone. Others could see, judge, or worse, want me to reveal more. I swallowed, forcing a smile. Just trying something new. Thanks for the package. I closed the door quickly, leaning against it with a shaky exhale. My heart raced, not just from fear, but from a strange, intoxicating excitement. Returning to the mirror, I ran a hand down my skirt, feeling the silk glide against my thighs. I closed my eyes, savoring the sensation. Every detail mattered. The subtle arch of my brows, the way the mascara lengthened my lashes, the soft sway of the skirt as I moved. Each element transformed me, but also exposed me. I thought about Emma again. She had always loved watching me transform, loved helping, loved teasing. But this was different. I was alone, but at the mercy of the world outside the door. And the thought thrilled me. I sank onto the edge of the sofa, crossing my legs carefully. High heels made my legs ache slightly, but in that ache was power, confidence, and vulnerability all at once. My hands wandered to the makeup on the table. Eyeliner, lipstick, a small pot of blush. Each item was a tool, a weapon, and a shield. I picked up the eyeliner, feeling its weight, its potential. As I traced the line along my upper eyelid, I thought about the consequences of being caught. Friends, neighbors, strangers, they all might see me differently. And yet part of me wanted that. Wanted the rush of risk, the thrill of exposure. I realized, with both fear and exhilaration, that this secret life was no longer private. Hours passed in a blur of meticulous transformation. I changed skirts, tops, even experimented with a wig. My reflection shifted with every adjustment. Soft brown hair framing my face, mascara-stained lashes fluttering, lips glistening. Alexa wasn't just a persona, she was a statement. And yet, the more I transformed, the more vulnerable I felt. The thrill of risk was intoxicating, but the fear of being truly seen pressed down on me. Every sound outside the apartment, the hum of traffic, the distant chatter of neighbors, the click of a key in the hallway, made me jump. I was a creature of duality, empowered by makeup and silk, terrified of discovery. I paced the room, heels clicking against the hardwood. My mind raced with scenarios. What if Emma came home early? What if Lila mentioned something she'd seen? My secret life, which had always been a private sanctuary, was teetering on the edge of exposure. And with that edge came an undeniable thrill. Then the phone buzzed. A message from Emma. Running late. Don't wait up. Red heart, relief, and disappointment collided. Alone again, I could indulge fully, but the risk remained. I glanced at the mirror one last time before attempting the boldest transformation yet, a full outfit with heels, wig, and makeup complete. Standing there, I hardly recognized myself. The reflection was glamorous, confident, undeniably feminine, but so fragile. The mascara, now perfect and dark, framed eyes that were both daring and anxious. I had crossed a line and I knew it. And then I heard it, a soft creak from the hallway outside. My heart jumped into my throat. Someone was here. Not Emma. Not expected. My pulse thumped violently as I realized that the thrill I had chased for hours was no longer imagination. It was real. I darted behind the folding screen, clutching the edge of the silk skirt. My breaths came fast, shallow. Every shadow seemed like a threat, every sound amplified. Lila? Another neighbor? Delivery person? Stranger? The knock on the door came again, firmer this time. Alex? Are you in there? The voice carried a casual tone, but the intent was unmistakable. She wanted an answer. And I was trapped in the persona I had so carefully crafted. I thought about changing back, rushing to shove the wig onto the stand, wiping mascara off, tossing the skirt, but the thought made my pulse race with forbidden excitement. The risk was the reward. I realized then that the fear of being caught was intertwined with the thrill of being seen. I peeked through the screen. Lila was standing there, holding the package, looking curiously at the slightly open door. I held my breath, feeling the silk skirt brush my knees, the heels pressing into my calves. My reflection in the mirror behind me seemed to wink, half teasing, half daring. And in that instant, I understood. My secret life, my hidden indulgence, was no longer mine alone. Others would see. Others would want. And there was nothing I could do to stop it. The tension wrapped around me like a second skin. I felt exposed, vulnerable, and yet more alive than ever. The thrill, the fear, the exhilaration, it was all one perfect storm. And I knew that once the door opened, everything would change. The quiet, private world I had carefully built around mascara, skirts, and heels was about to explode into a reality I wasn't prepared for, but couldn't resist. I could feel my pulse hammering in my ears as I crouched behind the folding screen, silk skirt clutched in trembling hands. Every nerve in my body screamed that I had crossed the line, and now the consequences were inevitable. Lila was still out there, knocking, her voice carrying through the apartment with a casual insistence that made my heart seize. "Alex? Seriously, are you ignoring me?" The words felt like a blade slicing through the air. I held my breath, listening to her shuffle. The package was heavy in her hands, and she set it down with a thud that made me flinch. I debated my options. Run? Change back? Call Emma? Each choice seemed riskier than the last. And then it hit me. I didn't want to run. The thrill of exposure, the danger, the sheer adrenaline, it had me hooked. I wanted to be seen. But I wasn't ready. Not yet. I peeked through the edge of the screen. Lila was glancing around, her curiosity obviously piqued. She leaned closer to the slightly ajar door, squinting as if she thought she'd catch a glimpse of something unusual. My breath hitched. And then disaster. A sudden cough behind me made me spin around. My heels wobbled dangerously on the hardwood, and the wig slipped slightly at the back of my head. My reflection caught it in the mirror for an instant. Alexa, the glamorous, confident persona I had built for hours, now vulnerable, teetering on the brink. The door handle jiggled. Lila was trying to open it. "Alex." Her voice was soft now, uncertain. Is someone in there with you?" Panic surged through me. I pressed a hand to the mirror, trying to steady myself, willing the reflection to stay put, willing Alexa to remain intact. But the wig slipped again, mascara smudging ever so slightly under my eye. My secret was trembling on the edge of discovery. I darted to the door, trying to intercept her, but the high heels betrayed me. A sharp click echoed as I stumbled, and my heart dropped. Lila's head turned instantly, her eyes widening. "Oh!" She stopped mid-word. I froze, caught in a moment suspended between fear and exhilaration. I could feel my cheeks heat up, the mascara making my eyes look impossibly wide, impossibly feminine. I wasn't just Alex anymore. I was Alexa, exposed and thrillingly vulnerable. Lila stepped back, holding the package protectively. I didn't mean to." "It's okay," I said, my voice higher, slightly trembling. I forced a smile, hoping it looked natural. "Just a lot going on." She frowned, glancing down at me. "You all look different." Different. The word hung between us like a live wire. I felt it spark against my skin. Every instinct screamed to hide, to deny, to shove the skirt back under the bed and wipe away the mascara. But another part of me, the part that had been alive all morning, whispered, "Don't hide. Let them see." My pulse raced as Lila's gaze lingered, curious and unjudging. And in that instant, I realized the secret I had so carefully guarded, the thrill of transformation, was no longer mine alone. Before I could react further, the elevator dinged. Emma's footsteps echoed in the hall, quick and precise. I froze, heels digging into the floor. The door handle rattled again, this time from inside, as if Emma had unlocked it. "Oh no," I whispered, heart hammering. Emma appeared in the doorway, her eyes instantly locking onto me. And for a split second, time froze. Mascara smudged, wig slightly askew, silk skirt flowing, I stood there, Alex and Alexa merged into one impossible reflection. Emma blinked, then smirked. "Well, someone's having fun," she said, her voice low and teasing. Relief and terror collided. I wanted to run, to hide, to apologize, but the thrill, the danger, was intoxicating. I realized then that Emma already knew, or at least suspected, and she was playing her own game. Lila, still holding the package, looked between us, confused. "Wait, is this a costume or something?" Emma stepped forward, closing the gap. "Not exactly," she said, her tone playful, but with an edge I couldn't quite place. She leaned down, brushing a strand of wig hair from my face. "You look incredible." Heat flooded my face. I felt exposed, naked in ways I had never experienced. But it wasn't shame. Not entirely. There was exhilaration, power, a strange confidence in being caught by the one person who could never judge me. Then a new twist. Lila, emboldened, held up her phone. "Do you want me to take a picture? You look amazing. I mean, everyone would love to see this." I froze. Panic flared. The thought of my secret leaking beyond the apartment, beyond Emma, it was terrifying. But even as fear gripped me, a thrill ran through me like electricity. The risk, the exposure, it was irresistible. Emma's hand gripped my shoulder, grounding me. "Careful," she whispered, almost into my ear. "But maybe it's time to share a little." I couldn't think. I could barely breathe. The combination of high heels, silk skirt, mascara darkened eyes, and the tense, loaded atmosphere made every second feel eternal. I realized then, my private pleasure, my identity, my thrill of transformation was now a shared experience, and I had no control over it. The next moments were a blur. Lila's curiosity escalated into fascination. She asked for tips, for advice, for the slightest insight into how I became. Alexa. Every request, every glance, every question heightened my vulnerability and my excitement. Emma watched silently, a knowing smirk on her face, as I guided Lila through mascara strokes, eyeliner flicks, and the delicate art of blending blush. My hands shook slightly, heart pounding. This was exposure, like I had never known. Strangers, or almost strangers, wanted a piece of my secret, and I was helpless to resist. And just when I thought I had navigated the situation, the doorbell rang again. Another neighbor? A delivery? Or someone else entirely? The apartment was tense, electric. Each knock, each step, each glance felt like a test. I realized then that this thrill, the constant push and pull between fear and desire, exposure and concealment, was no longer something I could control. Mascara-stained fingers, silk skirts, high heels, they had led me here. And now I understood fully. My secret life was not just a private indulgence. It was a force that others craved, a danger and delight intertwined. I caught my reflection in the mirror again. Alexa, confident yet vulnerable, exposed yet irresistible. And I knew one thing for certain. Once the door opened again, there would be no turning back. The doorbell rang again, insistent this time, echoing through the apartment like a warning. My heart pounded against my ribs, each beat a frantic drum of fear and exhilaration. I clutched the edge of the folding screen, silk skirt brushing against my thighs, mascara smudged slightly under my eyes from nervous fingers. Alexa, or Alex, stood frozen between exhilaration and dread. Emma's eyes sparkled with mischief as she stepped closer, brushing a stray strand of wig hair from my face. "Looks like your audience is growing," she murmured, voice teasing but dangerous. I swallowed hard, glancing toward the peephole. The hallway beyond was empty, yet the tension in the apartment had transformed it into a battleground. Every creak of the floorboards, every faint noise outside, amplified the suspense. Lila, still holding her package, looked at me expectantly, her curiosity almost tangible. "Do you want me to wait?" she asked cautiously. I hesitated, heart racing. My instincts screamed hide, run, erase this moment, but another part of me, The part that had been alive in silk skirts, high heels, and mascara-stained fingers whispered, "No. Let them see." Emma smirked, sensing my internal struggle. "Maybe it's time to take it further," she said softly, almost a challenge. "You've come this far. Why stop now?" I swallowed. The thrill, the fear, the vulnerability, it all collided into a dizzying, intoxicating wave. I realized then that I had crossed a threshold. My secret was no longer mine alone. Others could see, could demand, could crave it. And the most terrifying and thrilling part? I didn't want to go back. I glanced at the mirror, at the reflection that had become my dual identity. Alexa stared back, wide-eyed and flawless in appearance, yet trembling with uncertainty. High heels dug into my calves, skirts swished with every subtle movement, mascara-darkened lashes fluttered nervously. I was exposed, vulnerable, and utterly irresistible. Another knock at the door, this one sharper, more deliberate. My chest tightened. Whoever it was, they weren't just curious. They were coming for more. The tension in the apartment spiraled. Emma leaned closer, her breath warm against my ear. "Whatever happens next, just remember. You wanted this. You chose this thrill." A shiver ran down my spine. The combination of fear, exhilaration, and anticipation made me dizzy. My fingers trembled as I adjusted the skirt, ran them through the wig, brushed my lashes again. Every small motion felt monumental, symbolic of the life I had been living in secret. Lila's eyes widened as she stepped slightly closer, package forgotten. "Alex, or Alexa? I don't even know what to say. You look amazing." And that's when it hit me. This was no longer a private indulgence. I was no longer in control. Others had seen me, desired insight into my transformation, wanted a piece of the persona I had so carefully crafted. My secret life had exploded beyond the confines of my apartment, my makeup, my skirts. A sudden sound, the lock turning. Someone else was entering. My heart nearly stopped. I barely had time to glance at Emma, who gave me a knowing look. The tension was suffocating, yet exhilarating. The door swung open and I froze. The figure in the doorway paused, silhouetted against the light. Whoever it was, their presence made the air crackle with anticipation. My pulse raced, mascara-laden eyes wide, high heels digging into the floor. Silk skirt clung to my thighs. Alexa was fully exposed, no shield, no hiding. "Alex," the voice asked, hesitant yet familiar. I swallowed hard. The thrill, the fear, the sheer vulnerability of the moment consumed me. Every instinct screamed to flee, to hide, to erase the transformation. But I couldn't. I wouldn't. The duality of Alex and Alexa hung in the air like an electric charge, impossible to ignore, impossible to escape. Emma's hand found mine, grounding me, steadying me. "Whatever happens," she whispered, "we face it together." The figure stepped closer, and the door creaked ominously. My reflection in the mirror seemed to watch, anticipating the next move, ready to confront the unknown. And then silence. Not a single word, not a single movement. Just the thick, suffocating tension of exposure, of secrecy on the verge of discovery, of a world that suddenly demanded more from me than I could give, or than I was ready to surrender. My heart raced. My fingers clutched the edge of the skirt. Mascara-smudged lashes blinked rapidly. High heels clicked faintly against the floor. "Alexa," I was caught between fear and thrill, between hiding and embracing. And then the camera angle shifted in my mind, like the lens of a YouTube video zooming in on the moment that would keep viewers on edge. The cliffhanger was perfect. Exposure, suspense, vulnerability, and desire all intertwined. The screen fades to black. What will happen next? Will Alex/Alexa be discovered fully? Will Emma protect or reveal the secret? Will curiosity turn into obsession? The questions linger, unanswered, teasing the audience, daring them to speculate. And somewhere deep inside, I knew one truth. The world had seen Alexa. The thrill, the fear, the mascara, the skirt, the heels, they had all led to this moment. And now there was no turning back.